Did you know that over 65% of searches end without a click? And while you're optimizing for Google, AI traffic is increasing by 3.5x. This means that the old playbook of rank high and get more clicks is quietly becoming obsolete. And if you're not the source that AI cites, you simply don't exist in that interaction. But these numbers tell you that the game has changed and the stakes are pretty high right now. So getting cited is either equally or even more important than ranking. So in this video, we'll break down how AEO is different from SEO and how AI citations actually work and how you can reverse engineer this to optimize your content for AEO. So let's dig in. Okay, so coming to the question of how AEO is fundamentally different from SEO. Most people treat AEO as an extension of SEO, as just another box that you need to tick before you take your blogs live. That's a wrong mental model and it leads to taking the wrong decisions. SEO is about ranking in a list. You're competing for a position, the higher the better. And your domain authority, backlinks, keyword density, all of this play a part in making sure that you rank on top. But on the other hand, AEO is about being extracted. The AI engine reads your content, it pulls the best passage, and it speaks it out loud in its own words, while your brand gets mentioned as a source. The user may never click on it, but your brand got cited and your answer got delivered. Now this changes the rules completely. In SEO, a long article covering everything tends to rank, but in AEO, one perfectly structured paragraph can beat a 10-pager guide. This is because the engine only needs to extract one clean chunk of information. You're no longer writing for humans who are going to scan your page from top to bottom. You're writing for machines that's looking for the most extractable answer to a specific question. The other big difference is cadence. Your SEO refresh cycles run probably 6 to 12 months, but AEO requires that you refresh your content every quarter at least. Because here's what's happening behind the scenes. 45.5% of sources that get cited can be replaced the next time the same query is run, because engines are constantly reevaluating your content. So you can lose your citation slot tomorrow morning, not because you did something wrong, but simply because a competitor decided to publish more frequently than you did. Okay, now let's get into how AI citations actually work. So this mechanism or this process has a name and it's called Retrieval-Augmented Generation or RAG. Once you understand how this works, everything else about AEO will make a lot more sense. So when you ask an AI engine a question, it doesn't just pull from its training data. It runs a live search first, but it's not looking for full pages, it is looking for passages that are semantically close to your question. Think of it as an engine skimming 20 articles and pulling out the sharpest paragraph from each. Then it ranks those passages. It's scoring on 3 things. Number 1, how directly the passage answers a question. Number 2, how trustworthy the source appears. And number 3, how clearly the answer is expressed. A vague passage gets skipped in this process, but a confident, crisp, and specific one rises to the top. And finally, it generates a synthesized answer, weaving together the top passages in its own words and links back to the sources it drew from. That link is a citation. Now here's the insight that most people miss. Citation is not a reward for ranking well. A page that's sitting in position 8 in Google can beat the number 1 article because RAG doesn't care about your domain authority as much as Google does. It cares about one thing. Can I lift a clean answer from this passage right now? And that is the entire game. Okay, now that you understand how the engine works, you can design your content to survive every step in this process. There's 6 things you need to do. Number 1, lead with a direct answer. The first 1 or 2 sentences after every heading needs to be a self-contained answer. The reason is simple. The engine retrieves passages, and if your opening sentence is vague, your whole section gets skipped. Write as if someone will only read the first 2 sentences and needs to walk away well informed. Number 2, restructure your headings as real questions. Instead of benefits of content marketing, write what are the benefits of content marketing. AI engines match queries to headings. So your heading is essentially a signal that tells the engine this section answers that specific question. Generic headings are invisible to that matching process. Number 3, refresh your facts aggressively. This is very important. AI engines cross-reference sources. So if you're citing a 2019 source for a 2026 blog, that's a trust signal and a very bad one. When you refresh your content, every statistic should be current and every source should be named explicitly. Number 4, add FAQs and how-to schema markups. This is structured data you add to your page's codes that explicitly labels sections as question and answers. You're not just writing Q&A format, you are tagging it so machine can read the label without having to infer from it. Think of it like adding barcode to your content so the engine can directly scan it. This is one of the highest leveraged technical changes that you can make to your content. Number 5, test every section at a passage level. Here's a practical exercise. Read each H2 section and see if it answers a question in its heading. Does it answer it in isolation without taking context from the previous passages? If not, it won't survive retrieval, because the engine is extracting that passage in isolation. So fix every section that fails this test. And finally, distribute your content beyond your own site. Now this one surprises people. Publishing refreshed content only on your company domain limits your citation surface area. Research shows that distributing content to a range of publications can increase AI citation by 325% compared to keeping it only on your site. Syndication, guest posts, earned media, all of these create additional passages that the engine can retrieve from. The more surface area means more chances of being cited. Okay, so finally coming to the question, why do you need to do all of this right now and why does it really matter? AEO is still early, and that's the most important thing to understand about where we are right now. What it essentially means is that early movers will get the advantage and will compound. AI engines develop source preferences over time. Pages that establish a pattern of getting cited gain a kind of momentum. They get cited more, which signals reliability, which leads to more citations. The longer you wait to get into that cycle, the harder it gets to break into it. And being cited without click still has its value. Even in a zero-click world, your brand name gets spoken in the answer. That's still reach and that's still awareness that you're getting. This is very different from how we used to think about SEO, because SEO never gave us that chance. If you ranked a number 1 position and didn't get any clicks, none of it mattered. But AEO creates a new category of brand exposure that doesn't rely on clicks at all. So the window is still open, but maybe not forever. Right now, a well-optimized page on a smaller domain still has an equally good chance at beating a major publication, because a major publication hasn't restructured its content for AEO yet. But that gap closes as awareness grows. The brands that move first are going to be the ones that are harder to replace later. Okay, so your direction is clear right now. You know what to do, you know how it all works, and you can reverse engineer it. But the harder part of all of this is having the system in place to execute it. Refreshing your entire content library is a repeatable task, but it needs to happen in bulk and pretty fast, which will require a system that can run on autopilot. Which is why we've built Slate, which connects all of your disconnected tools and steps in one single connected process where the output from one step is the input for the next. And all of this happens in autopilot with all of your native integrations already connected. So yeah, that's about it for this video. If you enjoyed it and if you want to learn a lot more about AI search visibility, follow along.